Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
Oh, miss some bubble and now it's all you gotta
do. And the Academy Award for Best Picture.
You're impossible. La La Land.
The Oscar goes to James Cameron for Titanic.
I'm the king of the world!
I got the Oscar fever. Hope you got it, yeah.
Hello.
La La Land.
Oh my god.
That's one of Peter's favorite films. Like, it's weird. Like, how weird is that? That Peter, of all people's, like, I love La La Land.
That's interesting.
And it almost won an Oscar, but then they were like, I guess we should give it to the other people that voted. Yeah, I don't know.
That was the biggest mess up. I can't. They had the Emma Stone like best supporting actress or best actress win for La La Land card, so they didn't actually read that it said best actress, not best picture. So
chaos.
Love it. We didn't have any flukes like that this year. Some good digs from Conan, here and there. I did like how he handled the Carlos Sofia Gascon issue with saying like, oh, if you're going to tweet about this, I'm Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, it's a solid. I mean, Conan did good. I think he's the highlight of the night, probably.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm gonna pull this up because this is I wanted to start off with the talking about the in memoriam briefly, and poor oh my gosh, I have him right here. Gene Hackman. We all love him, but a best example for me to showcase this for you is because I've talked about Clint Eastwood's Twitter like here and there, how he brands everything. So I wanted to pull this up just to show you how Clint Eastwood posted about Gene Hackman's passing, because it's insane. If people don't know, if you've ever gone on Clint Eastwood's Twitter, he is so worried about people stealing his photos that he puts like 10 types of branding things on them. And this is his Twitter. And if you can see, this is like an average photo of him that he'll post. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
When you get nominated for awards, like when wines have like all the different vineyard awards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
Wow.
So this is what he did for Gene Hackman, and it's just so bizarre seeing this. And if you question him on Twitter, like his people get really mad at you. Like
someone needs to show Clint how to use a watermark. It'd be equally effective and far less intrusive,
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to have a real emotional moment, Clint, when everything you do is just branded from top to bottom, like yourself. I mean, there's so many things on this picture right here. Like, you don't have just a picture of you two, like a actual sincere normal thing.
I mean, let's be fair. All the branding's on Clint. That's very respectful,
100%.
Very tasteful. It's almost completely unencumbered. It does create a weird optical weight to the left, but yeah.
Does he know the internet exists? Does he know that like
I think so. I think he's afraid of the internet. Yeah, that's
okay. Oh my gosh. I usually defend Clint Eastwood on movie stuff, but personal Twitter use is suboptimal.
Which, I mean, think about that. So like you wouldn't expect Clint Eastwood would be running his own Twitter. He would have an assistant or something. So either Clint is running his own Twitter, in which case at his age, that shows a decent amount of proficiency with. Sure. So you're like, kudos, or he's hired somebody who just doesn't understand what they're doing.
Yeah. He hired I don't know what's happening. All I know is it's such a bizarre thing to really care about. Okay, if you're uber wealthy and uber famous and you're in your 90s and still directing movies and stuff, if you're worried about trademarks on your photographs in the age of the internet, maybe you shouldn't drive anymore.
Maybe you shouldn't have been in what the 100 films that he was in, where there's photos of him. Like,
Yeah, you do know you're in a video world now. Like, I mean,
Oh, so true. I'm gonna pull up some of the chat really quickly. Justin, all right, can't wait to see your reactions about the Oscars. When Amelia won its awards, I was thinking of you, Nerdy Film Girl. I thought, oh boy, what will Nerdy Film Girl think about this? Oh yes, we'll talk about that. Hydrix, I believe that's how you pronounce that. Thanks for stopping by. I think you're new to the channel, so welcome. Tyler Wolf, well, at least Flow won Best Animated Feature. Yes, I was thinking of you during that because I know you really enjoyed that movie, and I have not seen it yet, but I am excited to see it at some point, especially because it's about a black cat, and I have 2 of those. Luke Ponto, what's up? Hope all is well. Thanks for stopping by. David, good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Yeah, it's 2 p.m. here, but we have a lot of people watching from all different parts. Max, hey to cool cats. Yes, cool. And then just one more here. Poor Faye Dunaway. Warren should have said something. Well, they both give off vibes that they like banged in the bathroom right before that. They hadn't seen each other in 30 years because like she has like those like glossy she was just seduced by him eyes, and she's like, he's impossible. And it's like, okay, get your shit together. You're announcing Best Picture. Whew. But yeah.
I do love that. Like the full on, like clearly they're just having a moment here, and it's like kind of supposed to be a big moment, and yeah.
mm-hmm.
Well, I brought up the in memoriam because there were a few people that were left out, and I didn't know if you noticed these things, but they left out Michelle Trachtenberg, and they left out Tony Todd from Candyman. Oh, we have John. I hope he wasn't waiting too long. Hey. John.
How's it going?
Going quite well. This is
returning to us from assignment at Disney headquarters.
Yeah, right. It's I'm just, you know, I am perfectly happy with some people, and probably not so happy with others. I do like, and I know everybody hates him right now, I like what Brody did. I do. I am perfectly fine with what he did.
Oh, talking for 2 hours? Yeah, I'm down with that too, actually. Like, why not? I mean, like,
I'm
all right with it.
I just felt bad that he got attacked, you know. I thought Holly was cleaning his act up, and to see Halle Berry just throw herself on him while he was defenseless like that, it was shocking. I'm still in shock. Can't unsee it.
Yeah, I'm offended.
Well, John, we're talking about the in memoriam because they did miss a couple people. I mentioned Michelle Trachtenberg, Tony Todd, and they also forgot about Olivia Hussey, who was in the Zeffirelli Romeo and Juliet from the late 60s. Iconic movie.
Yeah. But Nerdy Film Girl, they didn't have time. They had to do that weird James Bond tribute, you know?
I'm so glad you brought that up because we're going to be talking about that too. Because that was...
I hated that.
Oh, so
I did too. I hate that. I may never watch Bond again. I think it's over.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough.
Doja Cat officially cannot sing. I mean, shit, that was rough. She was flat the entire performance. I was like, Jesus.
I didn't know what a Doja Cat was till last night.
I guess I felt a little bit bad because it's like, well, how do you follow Adele? Like, there's not, it's kind of like, if you're not going to have Adele, you need to have somebody who really has it. And yeah.
Yeah, so I know you guys are all probably bigger Bond fans than I am. Like, I like James Bond movies, but I haven't seen like all of them, and I have a select few that I really enjoy, just from inexperience with the franchise. But like so for me, I thought it was the weirdest montage, all like tribute to James Bond, and I was like, are they doing this because the family wanted to make this happen because Amazon bought them?
Yeah, it should have been an in memoriam as well. Yeah, for sure they've killed Bond.
Well, it's strange, like, because it was weird. Like, people literally didn't know why it was happening, and so what everybody started to do, it kind of speaks to what you just said. It like there are literally people like, is it never coming back? Is that why we're doing a tribute? Because it's never coming back, or it's like we're not getting it for a while. And when you hear all of this stuff about what Amazon theoretically wants to do with it, you go, oh, there's a little part of you that, like, look at what every studio has done when they take on a major franchise, not a smaller franchise. Like, not that Reacher's small, but Reacher's small compared to something like Bond, right? So they can do something like a Reacher, do it. The Boys was small compared to something like a Bond or something like that. So they can kind of be very, very targeted. Whereas Bond, it's like, are you really going to try and TV show it? Are you going to try and do spin-offs with like Moneypenny or Dr. No? And what are we getting here? I don't know.
Yeah. There's definitely some executives like, we asked ourselves, how do we top 007? It's 008. And that's where you're gonna get.
That's higher than 7. That number is higher than 7. So that makes sense.
We might visit a prequel of 006, just to see where it all came from. And nobody's going to be there to be like, that's not how it works. That's just,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It was strange. It felt very out of place. And I really like when they do tributes and things like that in general. But this one just felt really odd. But I did like I think we talked about it a little bit last night, the Conan O'Brien sketch with like bringing people back to the theater. And he's like, we just took 100 iPhones and put them together on the screen. That was good.
Yeah. A lot of talk about movie theaters because they realize that there's a problem, like an apparent problem. Like a lot of presenters mention things like that because they know like this is a big issue. After we talked last night, I went and looked too. And I'm glad you mentioned La La Land because La La Land made money. Like that was an example of when the Oscar movies were big winners, $350-ish million. Now combined, what are they like? I mean, profit wise, we're talking like low millions if you combine all of them, not Dune. Like if you take Dune out of the equation.
Yeah.
I even like the way they did it. Katie was ragging on it, saying that she thought it was corny, but I like that. I like that Conan's kind of like a whimsical, sad clown. Like I like it. He's like a John Mulaney type, if like without the enthusiasm.
Yes. That's a great point. Yeah, it felt kind of like a really well done SNL sketch.
Yeah.
We were talking about this. Do you guys know why they didn't include Michelle Trachtenberg in the memoriam?
I don't know.
No one ever knows when they messed up. It's like when they didn't have Joan Rivers. I remember everyone was like freaking out about that.
They didn't have Joan Rivers.
Yeah. So they always miss a couple people, but it's like they have a whole. I know people obviously pass sporadically, and this was very recent, but they've had more recent deaths. They did a whole tribute to Gene Hackman, obviously, which is warranted. But I think she passed like where the news broke very similarly to Gene Hackman's timing.
Well, there were people saying, "Oh, well, she was more of a TV actress," and I'm like, I don't see why that matters. They've done TV actresses before. They've done TV people before.
She was in like Eurotrip and stuff. She was in some movies.
Yes.
They left out a few other people, didn't they? Like there's a couple other people they left out. But I don't know. Maybe that's just part of the thing. They just did it because it was a huge star. Like it's like, well, we're going to focus on Gene because he's a huge legendary star, which that makes sense, right?
Maybe it is,
Yeah.
How long do you think you guys would need to put together an in memoriam though? Like not like a whole seconds. Yeah. Like if one of us had died in the like behind the scenes, before you launched, Bonebridger could probably whip me up one like just with some B-roll. And
if it was me, you could load up the clip of me eating the chili dog out of the Doom bucket and play some sad music over it, and that'd be good.
Like we could have it midstream,
midstream, and you could DoorDash in my honor. Like it'd be great.
So no excuse for messing up.
Terrace House Guy is referring to the Clint Eastwood thing. I love it. It's very MySpace chic.
Oh yeah. Clint Eastwood is stuck on the MySpace era.
Yeah, big time. I love
John, if you don't know that Clint Eastwood brands all his photos with like 500 labels of his name, so you can't like take them. He does
yeah, that was the image we had up beforehand. I'll just show you really quick, John, because it's just insanely good.
It's so painful. It's so cringe.
And I've talked about this before, but now you get to see it in real life. So,
Oh no.
Yeah. It does look like MySpace. Like, damn. I miss MySpace.
What a
You
time.
You remember how like you go onto people's pages and there'd be music blaring, like whatever they were listening to?
It was a good time.
In the rankings, like the top friend,
Yeah.
like
Oh, you ranked them.
friendship
That's right.
mattered.
Early social media was a great time. It was people, kids who didn't really have it. It was excellent, and then it died.
It's like, what's this top 10 shuffle? I don't like it. I don't know what you did. I have words.
yeah, love that, and that's gonna keep going strong. That Twitter is a very strong account. So if you don't follow Clint Eastwood on Twitter and you want a good laugh, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Let's see. KB says they normally focus on Academy members. The Emmys will get her in there. I know. I just wonder what qualifies though. Like if you've been in a few films, I feel like that would qualify, but I don't know the logistics. So. Yeah, this is what we were talking about too. Tony Todd is the one that gets me. They forgot. Yeah, it's insane.
Yep. No Tony Todd.
TMC will retroactively add more people into the memoriams as the year goes on. Yeah, Turner Classic Movies. Probably. So now I'm gonna bring up a few of the winners here, and see if I can get that. And while I'm doing this, do any of you have any highlights or things that you did not like about the show?
I'm not a big. I think Honora winning, and there's nothing wrong with Honora. Honora's a fine movie, but I think it winning and getting all of this praise that it got. And I think who was it? Madison won for Best Actress. So like, I almost feel like they did that because they knew that the Amelia Perez thing. There's something about it. There's something weird about it. It was like they did all of that to kind of get it out of Amelia Perez's hands, but not necessarily because it's the actual best movie. Because I don't think it is the best movie out of all of these.
It's not.
I think it's tacky and I hate it. I think it's offensive. Demi Moore, especially. Because think about this. Demi Moore, has always skirted the line of, is she a serious actress? And then she's in The Substance and everybody's saying she's great. And then this chick wins an Oscar for a film Demi Moore made in the 80s? Like, why did Demi not win for Striptease?
Julia Roberts. I mean, you could go on and on with this.
So Demi must
I think Demi Moore got shafted big time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Demi's like the stripper role. I did that. I didn't like, people laughed when I was doing that stuff. Now you win an Oscar for it.
Yeah, it's actually ironic too, because the whole premise of The Substance is dealing with women and aging and like younger roles and things like that, and how there's not like how older actresses are viewed as as time goes on. And it's just ironic to me that it went to I don't know, she's not the youngest woman to win, but she's 21, I believe, or 22. And yeah, John, Honora, I don't know if anyone else saw it, but like my opinion of Honora is it's definitely Sean Baker's weakest film. I thought that, so both of you, if you haven't seen it, you probably won't see it, but at the very end, there's this like scene that is set up so well that if you actually cared about the main character, you would have been sobbing. Like, it's so sad and just like depressing, and like it could have been one of the most talked about endings of all time, but because you don't care about Honora's character at all, in my opinion, I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. I think that the screaming throughout this movie was just went on and on and on and on and on. I did love a lot of the directing choices and the transitions and the camera movements and a lot of stuff that realism that Sean Baker does. But I also think people that haven't seen the movie are confused. Not you guys, but I've heard people say like, oh, it's a movie celebrating sex work. Sean Baker focuses on sex workers a lot in his movies, but it's the horrors of it. It's never glamorizing it, and it's never like happy. Like, yes, she gets whisked off with a super rich kid, but he's an asshole the whole movie. So it's kind of like, oh, I'm going along with this. So I mean,
there's a lot of there's a lot of nudity in it, and I think people might be getting the wrong idea because they hear that there's a lot of like nudity and sex scenes and things like that in it. But it's fine. It's just the aspect of, for a lot of people, they may not find it nearly as entertaining as some of the movies you would have seen 10, if not 15 or 20 years ago, that it is absolutely sort of based on. Not fully, but kind of is. And so, yeah, it does start to rub you a little bit like, well, so now this is okay and this isn't okay. But I get it. It is what it is. I would have chosen Conclave strictly for a variety of different reasons that I think and Conclave has a crazy ending too. So
yeah.
I don't know. I thought that if they weren't going to give it to Emilia Perez, they were going to actually give it to Conclave strictly because of its ending. But that's neither here nor there. What's done is done.
Yeah. And like, jokes aside, between this and then last year, Emma Stone winning for Poor Things, it kind of comes across to me, at least, like what the Academy is looking at as like a female actress or whatever committing is just like enormous amounts of nudity. Like, are you willing to?
True. I could see that, but Poor Things is a vastly better movie.
I didn't like Poor Things. I didn't think she was great in Poor Things. I thought it was just like shock value, I kind of feel like it's gimmicky,
I think that's Yorgos's style. So I think you go like all right,
lobster and stuff, and Killing of the Sacred Deer. It's like kind of felt like I don't know. To me, it felt like a cop out. But
I think it's very easy to for me personally. I think knowing that he goes like in that direction, I'm like, okay. Whereas had it been somebody else, you might have been like, but that's him. To me personally, that's him. Whereas and I think it is a better. There are some shock value things, of course, but I think it's just a better movie than Anora. But I also agree, it's the aspect of, okay, you're going for the young woman in a world, not just the young woman in that situation, but the young woman in a world that seemingly is going against her. And okay, that's fine. But then what are we going to get in the future? Because does that mean now it's like, oh, well, in the future now everybody's going to, because we do live in a copycat type of place where like everybody's going to try and now start to try and make those types of movies and do those types of things. And I'm always kind of like, we saw it with Moonlight when that happened. And Moonlight's a tremendous film, but then we started seeing some copycats here and there. People are just trying to get awards. So I don't know.
Well, and to really think about the difference between Poor Things and Anora, I think that in Poor Things, it's I know we can't say the word feminist anymore, but I think that in the positive senses of the term, I think that Poor Things is a very feminist film. She is the one making the choices. She is the one that, like, once she has the rose-colored glasses come off, while she decides to do sex work in that film, she's like, oh wait, I can't just have sex with people I'm attracted to. Like, I have to actually like have sex with gross men. And like then things change and she stops doing it. But like in Anora, she's trapped in sex work, and she also is a very unlikable character to the point where I think that to me, when I saw Anora, I was like, does Sean Baker just like hate women because she's so annoying? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah. So, but we'll talk about some of the other things. Did you guys see any of these other films? And you could bring your opinions up on them if you'd like.
The only one I have no recollection, like that I don't know anything about, is I'm Still Here. Yeah. I don't even know what that is. I didn't see that either. Yeah.
No one did. People did, but not really. It's a foreign film, so it's kind of like every year if something's like Guillermo del Toro's not a foreign film. What was the one that Netflix put out? It's it was black and white, and it was I love this director. Anyway, anytime there's an international film that is like considered to be like excellent, they a lot of times they'll throw it into the Best Picture nomination. So that's what that movie is.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these were obvious, right? Like we knew, you knew. I think Best Picture was going to be. It's either going to be Honora, Amelia Perez, because that's where all the rumors and things were trending, Conclave, or The Brutalist. I think that, you know, it was like, those are your top four. And then the other ones are just there just to be there. Like we knew Wicked and Dune weren't going to get it.
Right.
The Brutalist is I think The Brutalist and Conclave are better movies than Amelia Perez and Honora, but you know, people are going to, you know.
Yeah, I think if, like looking at this list, I think, and I think I told you guys my opinion of A Complete Unknown. Like, I think that it's really well acted. I don't think it deserves a Best Picture nomination. I think they nailed the time period and stuff, but you don't learn anything new. You know, Amelia Perez just shouldn't be on here at all. We all know that. The Substance, I was thrilled that it was up here, and it definitely, in my opinion, deserves to be up there. It's interesting that you have Dune Part 2, and then you have like Wicked Part 1. You know, it doesn't say Part 1, but I feel like in that situation you can't give it to, not that you can't, but people aren't going to vote for half of a story unless it's Lord of the Rings, which was the third film. Was it the Lord of the Rings?
Right, and
Return
of the King, right?
Return.
Yeah.
Two Towers didn't win.
I don't know if
it was, didn't Fellowship win as well? I thought Fellowship and Return did. I thought it was like one of the only sequels that won both.
Maybe. Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I'll look too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Return of
I
the
agree.
King.
So
What is the like? I'm stupid. What qualifies as Best Picture? It's like the whole package, right? It's supposed to be like
just Return of the King one.
Huh? I was Return of the
Only
King.
Return of the King won Best Picture. The others didn't.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess they had to at that point. They were like, okay, well, I mean, we're being silly at this point.
the thing about Best Picture is I think we used to know, and then you go, nah, it's not that at all. In saying it used to be, I think it was actually the Best Picture.
Yeah.
Now I think it is very much like sports, where they try to figure out the MVP. I think some of it is, it's not about stats anymore, like in sports. It's about like the narrative, I think, for Best Picture for a lot of these.
Yeah.
And the narrative can go either which way. It can go a way of like, this is happening. So, for example, Trump's in office. This is our thing to go against Trump, because Trump doesn't represent women's rights. So let's get the movies that might kind of represent that. Or we decided to go against, LGBTQIA, we trans, like all these things. So I think that ends up there. But then they'll say things like, but what were the biggest movies? Well, Wicked was huge. Dune was huge. And those movies are good enough where they can. So they'll throw it in there to try and make it seem like it's a nice little mix. But it's, it's weird. It's I don't think it's about the actual best movie anymore.
Well, that's like animated. They're not going to consider Inside Out. They're not going to let Inside Out 2 win.
Oh, never.
It should. I mean, I don't really know why it wouldn't at a certain degree. Like,
but okay.
I don't know.
Remember 2019? If you go back to 2019, what was the hot topic? Because the hot topic right now, like Andy had said, it's the young woman type thing. Go back to 2019. The hot topic was Black films. And so I think it was 2019 where it was Green Book and Black Klansman with John David Washington's son, but Black Panther was also on there. And people were like, Black Panther? Like,
right.
How did that get there? And it's like,
why is the Marvel movie here?
right. And it's not even against like Black Panther is not, it's not a top Marvel film. It's a good Marvel film, but it's not a top Marvel film. Chadwick Boseman is one of the best actors. Unfortunately, he's passing, but literally was shaping up to be one of the best actors of our time. But you're like, why would it be there? And you knew Black Panther was there for a story purpose, for a narrative purpose. Rightfully so, Green Book won, because I think some of the other ones, I forgot what was up there, but like Green Book was by far the best movie on there. But
Black
you know, it's
Klansman
like,
should have won, though. I think.
You think so?
I
thought
love
Black
that movie.
Good. I like Black
Klansman is great. I like that movie a lot. And
it was
and
tough
the acting
to beat.
in it is great.
Vigo and Mahershala, their combo was just, I think
They
it was
had
undeniable.
great chemistry in that movie. So I don't know.
But see, that's a good
Adam
year.
Driver and,
that's like a really good competitive year where like there's lots of like winners that probably deserve it.
Yeah.
This list looks like they threw people on there. Like A Complete Unknown shouldn't be on here probably. Like that's not probably but in this environment it is. Like in this movie climate it is. Because I just don't think there's a ton of competition. It's why I was kind of surprised that I get that they throw Wicked and Dune 2 on there, but it's I don't know. It seems like really egregious at this point. It's like they're clearly just reaching for some kind of audience to come back to watch the Oscars.
And much of my grievance is because I'm pretty angry about how disrespected Dune was. But like, and I haven't seen Anora, but I cannot imagine it's a better movie than Dune Part 2. Like, I don't know.
I don't think so, but it would all just depend on what you like. So you know, then it kind of becomes
like good movies.
That's
Yeah.
Anora's not a bad movie.
Well, and what about scale? Like, I mean, at some
That's what
point
I'm saying. Like as a triumph of filmmaking,
right?
Dune,
like Gone with the Wind,
really harder. Yeah, Gone with the Wind.
The scale of Gone with the Wind was so impressive. We did these action shots and these filming shots with so many people and extras and movements. They don't really. I feel like that's ignored a little bit, unless it's like a musical and you take into account like that kind of like La La Land, where there was a lot of moving pieces and a lot of shots that like are not easy to do. I don't know. That's why I thought Conclave had a chance.
Yeah, Conclave was really good. I would have been happy if Dune had won. I could have even seen Wicked winning it because I'm not a musical guy, but the opening sequence of Wicked when they leave the Munchkins and go
really good.
through, I was like, whoa, like it's not even my type of film. And I'm like, kind of like Goosebumps, like this was impressive. And I'm like, there's just no way. Again, I've seen the trailer of Nora. There's just no way like it would.
They don't do scale for these.
Spectacle,
they don't. They disregard scale, which you know, if you go back to like Citizen Kane and stuff, that was such a important factor.
Yeah. Didn't Avatar lose? Like James Cameron's like they lost.
Yeah.
So
they changed filmmaking forever with the technology and the things they used, and they had no chance of winning when it really came down to it.
That's what I'm saying. Like that year, what was better than Avatar? Like nobody had ever seen anything like Avatar.
That was the year The Blind Side came out. And and you remember, you know, before The Blind Side controversy, but a lot of people thought The Blind Side was going to win because, you know, the actual football player was there. Then obviously we didn't know the things we know. But I think that the Hurt Locker, I think.
Yeah, I think
beat
so.
Avatar. Or one. Yeah. So and the Hurt Locker was very interesting too, because it's like, well, that's a great movie, but that was talking about a specific thing. And then you're talking about the elections and all these other things. I think that might have came out after.
As well, wasn't it like a narrative? It was like
ex-wife.
Ex-wife,
Concept started winning at some point. Like the idea of what it represents started winning, and that's when when it kept going, I was like, oh no. Like there is a point where like, what about just the quality of the film, regardless of just the concept of it? Like if you strip out the concept and you say like, yes, this is an issue at this point in time and this is a big thing, what should win? Oh, like in 20 years, what's going to look good? Because there's been some movies that won that like, it only won because it was that year. Like if it was any other year against other great movies, it may not even be nominated. It was just like because people felt a certain way at that point in time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think if you do look at as a scale, you know, the films like you were suggesting, like from the 60s, 70s, 50s, the Brutalist has that old Hollywood type of filmmaking for sure. And I think that the Brutalist definitely deserves to be up here. Was it my favorite of the year? No. But my God, was Adrian Brody phenomenal in that movie. Like, I mean, there's no denying that he definitely deserved to win Best Actor for the second time. And it is this big epic. Not like not like a lot happens per se, but it is like just following a man's journey into, and his own personal struggles and career and wife and people surrounding him. And Guy Pearce was also fantastic in that. But so like if Wicked, I also agree, has that grand scale of filmmaking, practical effects, things like that. And sometimes they do give it to smaller films, like Annie Hall, I think, won Best Picture, and that's a very small film. But back then, like the writing, people were like, "Oh my god, I loved it so much," And I think everyone notoriously beat Star Wars, which was pissed a lot of people off. But
it still does.
yeah,
Still
yeah, I
does.
know. I think people just weren't ready for Star Wars. And then in hindsight, it's like 2001: Space Odyssey. A lot of people hated that movie when they first saw it, and then they revisited it and were like fell in love with it.
Timing on that one was bad.
I think we just have to briefly talk about the Zoe Saldana win. I think it's absolutely insane that she won. I don't think she's good in it. I don't think that the movie, well, we all know I don't think the movie deserves to be up here. But like, okay, I don't think that Isabella Rossellini should have been nominated for Conclave because she's in it for 3 seconds. She was great in it, right? But like, she's in it for 3 seconds. But like, look at these other people. Like, I mean, they were in actually like really well-made films, and we're giving it to Zoe Saldana for shout whispering for 5, for however long that movie was, in the worst writing and all that stuff.
I'm surprised they didn't give it to Jen Erso. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. give our Rogue One Alita award here.
She got herself out of Star Wars, started doing all.
She's one of the few people to survive Star Wars and come out the other end better off.
Like, how did you? I don't know why. And then the fact that Zoe literally got the award, I think she had to like apologize like right after.
Yeah,
it's always a good sign when you go to your thing and start apologizing because
I think she like literally went on a big thing and like was apologizing to all of like the Mexican people. You're like, oh god,
that's just great. That's great.
But Zoe's got some power in Hollywood. I'm convinced.
Oh,
I like Zoe Saldana, but I like, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, I don't think you should be able to win a Best Actor or Best Actress if you're in a musical. I think it should be its own category. Like, it's like either you get an unfair boost because of the performance of singing, or it detracts unfairly. I just think it should be separate.
But she doesn't even sing well in it at all.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking in general, like,
yeah.
It's shout whispering. Like, and I
but
can't
like,
even.
No,
yeah.
Actually, no, Andy, you're right. But even if that was a category, then she should have lost to Ariana Grande.
Oh no, and exactly, yeah. Like, I've heard her singing like the clips from it. Like, she's not good at it. So, like, if part of the performance is singing and you're not a good singer, like the whole thing with like Joaquin, and people are like, "Ooh, he's showing his range by being in a musical." Like, Cat can't sing. He's a terrible singer. Like. Yeah. So people say, "Oh, he has a great performance." I'm like, except for the half of the film being judged on his singing performance, which is god awful. Like,
I'm glad you brought Joaquin Phoenix up because I've been saying this a lot recently, and I feel like Emilia Perez getting 13 nominations is the exact equivalent if the Academy had given Joker 2 13 nominations.
Yeah,
fair. Joker 2 made more money.
Fair. Yeah,
it's like crazy time, really bad, but everyone's okay with shitting on Joker 2. But when it comes to this movie, which I think in some ways, actually cinematography wise, Joker 2 was actually superior. And I hated Joker 2. I'm just like playing devil's advocate here. That movie in a lot of ways is way more superior than Emilia Perez. So,
well, Emilia Perez is only up here because of the concept of what it represents during this era. Like that's it. It won't be looked upon as like a good film. It'll be looked upon as, oh, this is what people were up in arms about going into this year.
That's so true. The Academy keeps debasing itself by kind of groveling at whatever is going on in the moment versus just standing on, we're here to judge the quality of filmmaking,
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. You know
what?
What?
I have a question for you, Dirty Film, because he just talked about cinematography, and I guess this is also for Andy. Dune lost cinematography.
Oh, bro,
and that was one of
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, how? Like, how?
That one I couldn't believe. I actually was just like, whoa, wait a minute. This is literally what we all gave this movie supreme praise for.
Well,
People were literally writing articles like, you don't even need to talk in this movie. We just need to look at it.
but guys, Dune 2 it's just a very natural Earth setting. There's nothing unusual about any of it. There's nothing about it visually that would, have to be created out of imagination. It's just so grounded in, like, I could go to Walmart and film the same thing. So it really didn't deserve anything.
I
Sean
couldn't
Baker won
believe it.
Best Director, didn't he?
Yes.
So could Sean Baker make Dune Part 2? I don't think so. But I'm absolutely certain Denny could make Anora. Like, made like Prisoner. Like,
well, I think he could make anything.
Yeah. So it's like, but you're
talented.
telling me that this dude's a better director than Denis Villeneuve? Like, no.
I think Denny will get it for something else. I don't think he's going to be awarded, unfortunately, for the Dune franchise, unless they for the third one, maybe they'll give him accolades then.
But did they do that?
Or felt like a slap in the face, though. I almost would have rather them give him nothing than to then be like, oh, but here's the VFX award.
Well, that was like Fury Road getting that. Like Fury Road got all these awards, but they weren't the ones that like they picked up all the awards you thought that they would, but they didn't get anything that was like, oh, we're recognizing that even though this movie's crazy, it is great. Like,
But didn't 2022 it won? When's the last one that came out? Didn't it win cinematography that year?
Oh, I don't know about the first Dune.
I think it did.
Oh, by the way, I just have to get this in here. I'm really thankful for the Academy finally giving Adrian Brody an Oscar for his performance in Predators. That's what this really was for. And it was time they honored that character. Just a legendary performance. And I'm really thankful for that today.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first Dune won 6 Oscars. It won cinematography, editing, score, visual effects, production design, and sound. So maybe that's why they were light on it this year.
They were just like, well, we're not going to do
the second one is better than the first one.
Yeah. Kind of like
that's what's crazy.
Yeah. I actually really liked the second one more than I didn't not like the first one, but to me it was much more. Yeah.
Same. I'm with you on that. It's not even comparable, the two Dunes for me, in terms of like how I thought they were made too, like the quality. I feel like they really hit a stride.
I gotta bring this up. We gotta bring up Kieran Culkin. Gave a great speech. He's been speaking the whole time. We knew he was gonna win. However, when you guys all at some point, if you see The Apprentice, to me, Jeremy Strong is the one that should have swept. And it's ironic that they're both Succession brothers. And they definitely would never have given it to Jeremy Strong because of how they feel about that movie. It's almost like no one wanted to watch it, which is a shame because it's much more balanced and just like a look at this relationship between two people. He was so good. And someone on Twitter showed the scene. It's later on in the film, and it's like it's based off a real person, so it's not really spoilers. But Roy Cohn is dying, and he visits Mar-a-Lago, and there's this big dinner, and like there's this back and forth between him and Trump, and then they bring out this like American flag cake with like sparklers on it, and his stoicism that he's had this entire movie, he just like starts crying, and it's so good. And like the whole movie, he just killed it. And what are your thoughts about like the fact that this movie, I'm glad they got nominated. I'm shocked actually, since with Sebastian Stan was fantastic.
I wanted Sebastian Stan to win just for the funny. just for the funny. That's all. It would have been interesting because had Sebastian won, Trump would have commented on it. It would have been But
do you think he would have won if it was like a much more scathing portrayal of Trump?
Maybe.
It's not that it's not. Yeah, it probably would have helped. Yeah,
like if he had been less nuanced, like if he had been like an Alec Baldwin caricature,
Vice style,
but you
like they do with that.
Yeah. That's I think the biggest issue is you can't, like, the movie did about really what it really was. The biggest issue I've ever had with not Trump, but people who talk about Trump, they act as if we don't have video evidence of what he was like back then, as well as how people reacted to him back then. I literally met the guy when I was a child. And so it's like one of those where you kind of go, okay, how he not only did I meet, I'll tell you a personal story.
And that's how John got his big
guy. Yeah, right. I wish. Not only did I meet the guy as a child, when I met him as a child, he was celebrated by the wider base of people. Now, those same people look at him differently. And I'm not saying people don't change or anything like that. Everything can happen. Things can change. The way people do things can affect people differently. I totally understand that. But it's one of those things where the movie did a good job showcasing all of the nuance you can show without trying to make it seem like something that it really wasn't, because it would have then just been a lie.
Mm-hmm.
like we have the video, we have the stories, we have things from people. So at that point, the film would have been lying, and the film wasn't trying to lie. It was just trying to give a really good portrayal of what was going on, and I think it did do that.
Yeah, it really truly is the influence of who he is now, like how he became who he is now based off of his mentor. And that's why it's called The Apprentice. He's the apprentice in the film, you know? It's like it's so it's a very interesting take, and I think it's definitely worth a watch. And I have said in the past that I do think in the third act he does come from like this neutral viewpoint from the audience to becoming like a super asshole very quickly, and I could have used another 20 minutes of that transition.
It did. Yeah, you're right. You're right on
that. Emmanuel Perez said, she said during the apology, this is Zoe's Oscar speech. She said, "For me, the heart of this movie was not Mexico." So, and that's one of people's biggest problems. So the director did not need to learn anything about Mexican culture or the trans community or anything like that, and it was just so pandering, and I think we all agree.
Right.
And I think
Right.
David says Denny will get it for something that isn't nearly as good, or he'll get an honorary Oscar.
Yeah.
I think he'll still get an Oscar legitimately. I do think he's like the new Nolan. So and it took Nolan a very long time. So yeah, so it's a weird year. It was a very weird year. Last year was incredible in my opinion as far as Oscar films go compared to this year. And I do think that perhaps it was the writer's strike. I also think people were, and I think this is incredibly wrong, but I think people were so distracted with the election and things going on politically that a lot of people just didn't watch anything and they just voted for whatever they wanted to. And it's a shame. I saw a couple people that said someone said they didn't vote for Cynthia Erivo for Best Actress because they thought she was too old in the role, which is insane to me. Like Ariana Grande is also too old technically for that role, but like that's something we've been doing in Hollywood forever. We cast older people to play younger people. That's not really a thing. And then and I hate. Sorry, you can go.
How old is she supposed to be?
I think they're in college, right? Isn't like it's Shiz University, so they're supposed to be in college, and I think they're both in their 30s. So,
okay.
It's Wonderland, though, or it's Oz. Like
based on Leo's rules, she is too old.
Yeah,
I guess. Okay, that's fair.
That's wild, though.
It's stupid. And it's the same exact thing that I saw that people did not vote for Ralph Fiennes for Conclave because they thought he already won for Schindler's List. But then they voted for Adrian Brody again. So,
by the way, when they said that, there's no way the Academy would have ever given him for playing Goth in Schindler's List. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like what? He's good in it. He's amazing in it, but yeah.
So yeah, I do think it is a weird year, and just we're gonna wrap up. But I did want to highlight a film as well that definitely just did not get enough exposure at all, and that is Nickel Boys. This is one of the most recent watches. And I watched Chris Gore from Film Threat talk about it, and he was like, yeah, it's kind of like the movie, like we've all seen movies like this before, but it's the way the story was told was you've never seen anything like told this way, and it was first person perspective between two different characters, and the person he talks with really, I think, nailed it when they said the movie's like a quilt of like different, because of the cinematography, a lot of close-ups, it's POV, like interacting, and it's like what it would be like for that specific person at that time. And I learned about the Nickel Academy, which I had no idea about, that was like essentially a prison, even though it's supposed to be like a reformatory place for teenage boys, and it was really just incredibly abusive in the Jim Crow era. But like that to me, like definitely a cinematography nomination, and amongst other things, I believe it was nominated for adapted screenplay. Yes, it was. So I think it was just adapted screenplay and best picture, which I think that there could have definitely been a few other nominations. I think Demi Moore's loss is also probably the worst part of that night. It was such a downer. I know we talked about it earlier, but like, my goodness, like it went to the wrong person. So,
yeah, I'm with that.
Agreed.
And I don't feel, you can see the footage of her too. She looks really sad. And it's like, I know. And she was sweeping pretty much until the SAG Awards when they gave it to, no, it wasn't the SAG. It was the BAFTA, I think, went to Mikey Madison for that. But anyway, next year's going to be hopefully a lot better. And we'll hopefully get some more interesting films. I can't name any right now. Obviously, Mickey 17 will probably be in the conversation, because
A Brave New World will be nominated, I'm sure.
100%, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh my
You know
God.
what? I think the Vince McMahon documentary should have been nominated. Not necessarily won, but I think it should have been nominated. I think that's an incredible documentary on what has become a $1 billion business and it keeps growing every single year after year after year. And they did not highlight, they highlighted the positives, but they went deep into the negatives about Vince McMahon. So much so that like people were surprised to even learn some of the things. And I think it should have just been nominated. That's all. No Other Land definitely deserved it. I think Sugarcane probably could have won it as well. But like, it would. I think that it was good enough to be nominated.
Well, you know what's interesting about No Other Land too is it's a film made by Palestinian and Israeli filmmakers coming together to make this, and it's impossible to find. You can't find this documentary unless you really search like the dark web for a bootleg. Like, it is so difficult to find this movie, and there's definitely a reason for that, because we want to keep everyone divided about everything. So you know, I people that watched every documentary that was nominated, it took them like so many like different loopholes to get through to actually find this movie. I haven't seen. Oh, okay.
I thought that was
There's a
mine.
fire alarm going off.
Okay. Go exit the building, no film girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's being taken care of. It's
Your
yeah.
microphone's phenomenal because I also thought that was mine as well.
I thought it was mine. I swear. I was
Yeah,
like,
I was
whoa.
like-
Oh, I'm just gonna hit the chat really quick as we exit. KB says Demi Moore lived her own personal substance in real life, but not everyone likes body horror. She had my vote though. Yeah, she was phenomenal. I think Marlee Matlin, she holds the record for youngest Best Actress winner. Yeah, because I think like Tatum O'Neal was Best Supporting. I think like the more child winning roles, Anna Paquin, I think they were all supporting. So Marlee Matlin might have been the youngest. In fairness, I'm Still Here doesn't have a wide release. Yeah, I haven't seen it. That's another hard one to find. As we were all talking about last night on IsoCubes, that like if you can't put these, if these studios and theaters don't put these movies in the theaters, no one can have an opportunity to check them out. The best reaction to a win was the Brazilian people to I'm Still Here winning. Yeah, I was so thrilled that Amelia Perez did not win international feature. We like cheered for that. And then we sang the penis and vagina song as we did a shot.
Offensive.
It's like the stupidest song.
I could not, when I heard that song for the first time, I didn't even watch the movie. I just saw like snippets and I saw like the most, and when I heard that, I could not believe that they even said it in that way, because it's not even sung properly. So it's like a weird tonal shift, and he's Louise.
Yeah, it was definitely oh, thank God Amelia Perez didn't win this. From penis to vagina. Yeah, it was
that was so bad.
Gotta make the best out of a bad situation.
man.
This I can't go without saying this, but Adrian Brody beat Greer Garson's record for longest acceptance speech. She had the record since 1943. Wow.
Wow.
I like that he did it. He told them to cut that music.
He said, I'm staying right here.
I'm not leaving.
ABC better go big for the 100th Academy Awards in 2028, and I hope that they make it available for people to stream because Hulu crashed, and I missed the first 20 minutes of the show, and I was pissed off, and everyone on Twitter was also very mad as well.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any issues watching it?
No, I
Okay.
did not, but I also came in a little bit late.
I also had to get a free trial of YouTube TV, I think, to watch it. So,
Yeah.
I watched clips of it on YouTube, and if you
Right.
do that, you never have any problems.
But
I know, but they should make these. If they complain about viewership, then make it easier for people
No,
to watch
100%.
it.
Yeah, they should.
So,
Because I read that it's 7% down from last year.
yeah, maybe because
Yeah,
everyone on Twitter
18.1
was
million
like, "I
viewers
watch it."
versus 19 something from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone, the consensus on Twitter was, I have Hulu for one purpose, and it's to watch this tonight, and I can't even watch it. So,
oh yeah,
It's weird
That
that,
happens.
like can we talk about how weird it is that while Hollywood is going through this thing, you've got Conan O'Brien doing a whole bit about going to the films instead of streaming, and they stream the Oscars. Like come on now. Like, that's stupid.
They know the future. We all know.
well, thank
In
you
which
guys
case,
for
yeah, they should have more streaming films. If you don't have to release the film in other than like 3 locations to get nominated, like what's the argument against having streaming movies?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I think times are changing, and we'll see how that unfolds within the next 5 to 10 years. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this post-Oscars recap. And thanks so much for everyone in the chat. Anyone guys want to talk about anything you have coming up throughout the week or next week?
Tonight, Daredevil and
Yeah.
Doolies. Both.
Daredevil.
So many streams.
Yep. What he
yeah.
said.
I will be on Doolies tonight, and then I am on a hiatus for a little bit, and then I'll be back.
We can't wait for that. Your big reveal of and
That's right.
yes.
He's working with Doge. It's a Trump internship. It's all
we're
lining up.
Listen, I need my pockets lined, so I'll take it.
You'll get the Oscar for best comeback of 2025.
That's right.
Hopefully, or at least let me get nominated.
Surprised Honora didn't get that too.
Yeah.
They might. There's still time.
Oh, well, thanks so much. And check everyone's channels out if you have not subscribed. And we'll see you guys all next time.